atmosphere.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
it's just not good.
Well, yeah, because you get to the point to where, okay, what if they do run into adults, or they can easily run to the police station or
Right.
somewhere that where older people are at,
Right.
and they're immediately safe. Regardless of any horror movie these days, everything happens at night.
Yeah.
But this one, it comes out in the daytime.
Yeah.
But without the parents being there and you understanding that there's nothing they can do to help them, it's kind of in the back of your mind of, are they 100% in danger, or can they really go somewhere to refuge?
Exactly.
So yeah, I agree with that as well. Good explanation, man. Good explanation for sure. Do you have anything else you want to add on to that?
Well, that's mostly it. It's just
Okay.
setting and atmosphere are super important in horror, and if you don't establish that, especially at the beginning,
Yeah.
it weakens the narrative, and it becomes less about suspense, and then you resort to jump scares, which
Yes.
there's plenty of great movies for jump scares if you want jump
For sure,
scares.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, man. Awesome. All right, now to a really good question here. What was your favorite scene in the most recent release?
There's some good ones, but I think for me, it's the scene with Mike.
Mm-hmm.
It has a few different elements where you have the racism element with Henry Bowers trying to run him over with a car.
Oh, yes.
The hands coming back from behind the door, the
Right.
burned hands, references to people being burned alive in churches.
Yeah.
The clown. That's the beautiful thing, is you have this iconic clown, and in
Yeah.
that scene, you just see the eyes and you see the outline. It's almost taking it. It's really emphasizing that this thing can take on different shapes.
Yes.
It's evil. It's not just a clown. And it really captures the essence of that thing in the dark that's out to get you.
Yeah, I agree.
And that scene was just so good visually. I really liked it. I really liked it. It was great.
No, you're right. It is great, and just by what you're saying is, just by it portraying that there is really this creature out there, because of course it was Pennywise,
Oh, yeah.
and you could see the eyes, but it was more of a silhouette, but you could still see it was a really strong figure.
Yeah.
And this was something similar to, and I'm just started reading it, but the first chapter of it, to where it explains that Georgie, before he's going down to the cellar, he refers to his fear as it.
Yeah.
Down there, he doesn't know this clown exists at that point, but whatever his imagination brought up,
Yeah.
he already named it as it.
Yes.
You know?
And that scene with him going into the basement was actually better in the new adaptation.
Yeah, right.
Because it established the creepiness and this presence and the eyes. Oh, the
Yeah.
eyes! Because there's a scene in the made for TV,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't catch it, but my girl did because she's got a good brain on her. She's smart and she's observant. But she
Yeah.
saw them walking through the tunnels, and there's just these two eyes. So it's just for a second.
Really?
But I missed it.
Oh,
I
man, I missed it too.
Yeah, I saw it like two
Okay.
times. I missed it. But they incorporated that, and it's the lights like from a pair of goggles or something on the shelf. And
yes,
so, yeah,
exactly. Yes.
that was very good.
Yeah.
That's probably my second favorite scene, just because it improved on it while including thematic elements.
Right. Nice.
I
Awesome.
forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're here,
Yeah.
To put it in perspective for everybody. Awesome. So let's move on real quick. And I know we just talked about this before we started rolling, which actually shocked me for sure. I had another question for you, and then I'll piggyback off you as well. Your favorite Stephen King adaptation or movie as of right now?
Now I have to apologize to everybody. I love film, but my girl gives me crap about this, rightly so. I haven't seen a lot of classic movies like Cujo and stuff like that.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so for me, I'm a little lacking in that department. I haven't read a whole lot of the books. I'd like to. I actually am planning on getting the book and reading it.
Nice.
But by default, it has to be it because I haven't seen almost anything else. So it's a weakness of mine. I apologize, but I would like to see more.
Awesome.
Awesome. So by default, it has to be it because I haven't seen
All right.
a whole lot of
I
other.
definitely respect that. I know it comes as a
Seems
shock
fair.
because he definitely dug in quite a bit with this film for sure. So if you like this one, you'll like plenty of other Stephen King novels. Me, for example, one of my best films from Stephen King is Pet Sematary. which was done very well. If you never watched it, I would definitely recommend that one.
See, that's how unfamiliar I am. I have seen Pet Cemetery, and it's super creepy.
Oh,
I do
see,
remember that.
there
I
you
do
go.
remember
Yeah,
that. See, this
nice.
is like, I don't know that much about
Nice.
Stephen King, but I do
Yeah.
remember seeing Pet Cemetery, and it was super creepy.
Yeah, definitely.
That was really good, actually.
And, some movies don't age well, but I think this movie still stands
Oh, yeah.
true even today.
It's
you know?
it works. Pet Cemetery works really well because of like with The Thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's playing on like dead children are tragic and sad
Yes,
and something
for
that's
sure.
emotionally very difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And so having a dead child that's possessed by something else, where the parent, it's that expression of love and sort of the betrayal or the morphing or the transformation of that love into something evil by something evil, where it's not really your friend, it's not really your family member. It's probably why zombies work so well.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
some level,
right.
is that it deals with the fear of death and the unknown and what's lurking in the dark beyond. And so yeah, Pet Cemetery was awesome. In the same way, The Thing was awesome. It's like, is that guy your buddy or is that guy an alien
Exactly.
flesh-eating monster? And that survives where special effects break down.
It does for sure. Because what will you do? You know. I mean, honestly, I don't think I could take you out if you turn into a zombie. Really?
You should.
Too. I mean,
Double tap. You got it.
Hey, don't give me permission, man. All right.
It's still Matthew. No,
it's
it's
already
not.
tough, right? See,
I don't want to munch you.
That's what we'll.
You got to carry the torch.
Mess with me. Well, I would know it's a difficult decision.
I know.
Maybe I'll make the right decision, but who knows what that right decision is at that time.
Well, I like to think I'd be there with you and we'd be fighting them off.
Yeah.
But you gotta have those rules down.
Yes, you do.
For the zombie
Yes,
apocalypse, you have those rules.
You got to set them up front.
Double tap. Always
Up
double
front.
tap. Don't forget your cardio.
Cardio. That's right.
Zombieland.
That's right. Which me, no cardio for me. Sorry.
That's okay.
Low impact. So I'll if I had a bike, or a car, then I'll practice on my cardio that way. So yeah, remember the rules.
Double tap.
Awesome.
Zombies double tap. Always.
Awesome. So Pet Cemetery, good man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you've seen it. Now I mean you got.
I'm embarrassed I saw it
more-
and forgot about it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Slacking.
Lost a couple points, but yeah, I'm pretty sure with your explanation behind it, man, you gained a couple back as well. So pretty cool.
Hopefully.
So I guess right here I'm out of questions. So anything else that you want to elaborate on for the film?
They did a lot of good things. I think they had 3 screenwriters on it, and because of that, the creepiness felt disjointed. It felt like a compilation of scenes, really good scenes, but because they're not tied together, it breaks down. And so what you could have is a suspense and building and themes. Like, as silly as they are, the balloons were a consistent theme, and one of my favorite ones was the scenes in the made-for-TV is the library scene where they explode into blood.
Right.
It's visually impactful. It highlights people not knowing what's going on, and it's creative. And there's the scene in the new movie where one of the Bowers gang, gets killed by it.
Yep.
And what broke my heart is because they had the balloon popped, and then the clown was behind it. I would have loved for the balloon to plop into blood, and for the clown to get him from behind the grate.
Oh, that would have been nice. That'd have been very nice. And you're right. That was another jump scare.
But
there was a few in that movie that really freaked me out or was creepy.
what was your favorite?
Jump scares?
Yeah, jump scares. What was your favorite?
One of the favorites, it's in the previews, when Georgie's in the basement, he says they all float down here, and he runs at him. It's not just how he runs at him; he just and he runs at him
in a human way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and then he lands on the stairway, and then it simply just instead of just standing there, his eyes kind of roll back in his head while he kind of slithers back into the water. That was very creepy.
I really liked that. I really liked the well scene in the house. It was interesting that they chose to focus on the house instead of the sewers.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
That was interesting. And what made me sad is just the elements of family, where you're building a connection to the characters and learning about their families and how their families aren't there for them. And I have to go back to my note card. I hate this. Ben, another big kid. Yep. Him and his dad being missing, his dad turning into the clown and the made-for-TV, the skeleton coming out of the water in the sewers, and the conflict he had with his mom, them having to stay with family.
Yeah, that's right.
It's that show don't tell.
Yep.
and just it made me sad. And they just made some other changes, like having him being new to town and him being sort of learning about the town and taking the historian role away from Mike.
Yeah.
Whereas Mike, he had the book of pictures about town and the history his dad had researched.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't know why they made that change. It really didn't add anything.
Right.
And where we had scenes that built that connection, we didn't really feel the kids' situations as clearly. It wasn't there. It was a missing element that took away from the suspense and the connection to the characters that made them feel vulnerable and need the connection to them. So overall, I think, even though it's campy, you got montages, you got stuff in the old CBS made for TV, still, for me, as a whole, it's a tighter story, even though it's 3 hours and 7 minutes long, or like 4 hours and 30 minutes if you watch it with commercials. When watch it with commercials, you see, oh, they cut it this way, or they cut it this way.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I had the double VHS, when I was a child. So it's a long movie.
It's hard because the new movie is great. Yeah. It's great for a lot of reasons, but it's also weak. So it's inconsistent. That's why I think you see different reviews and different opinions, because it does some things well. Yeah. But overall, as a horror narrative, with the content matter being so iconic and difficult, that's a challenge. But I don't think they really rose to meet.
Yeah, right. No, I agree. And I don't think that we can ever get to the point to where horror movies will ever be what they used to be.
No.
Now, me looking at it from perspective, if I was a child, did this movie do its job? And I would say yes.
Yes,
because of the essence of a monster coming out as much as in the daylight, just as night. Nowhere is safe. Anywhere you go, regardless of where you're at, who you are with, there's this monster that's really just hunting you down, and will take you out if it.
And takes the form of your fear.
Yes.
In some ways, the new movie did do better with taking the forms of the fear. It was who was it? Stanley Harris. Stanley Harris. Stanley. Well, the skeptic of the group, the Boy Scout. He and that painting, that was good.
Oh,
because the painting was really good. So they did a good job, and it's strong in ways. You can't say it's really a whole bad film, because there's a lot of talent that's working on it. It's just consistency in the film, tying in the different elements was what was lacking, and that's the difference between, I think, really good and great. So you have a good film with great moments versus a great film with excellent moments.
Well put, my friend. Great. It's coming down to the ultimate question now. From the most recent film, out of 1 to 5, 1 being terrible, 5 being a must-watch, one of the best horror films that you've seen, where do you put this one?
I think if I'm being fair, probably 3.5.
3.5, all right.
3.5, because I don't think it's. I think it's above average.
Okay.
And a lot of that's the content, but they built on the content. They improved elements.
Right.
4 for me is something I'll go back and watch again.
Yep.
4.5 I'll watch again consistently. 5 I'll tell everybody about it. Like Babadook. If you haven't seen Babadook, do yourself a favor. Please see Babadook. It's great. And the story behind it is cool. They built the house for the movie, and for the kid, they had their parents on site because it gets really intense.
Oh wow! Okay.
And also, they actually had an adult actor stand in for the kid in the really intense scenes to make sure psychologically they were okay. So it's an indie film. I know you've probably heard about the Babadook. It's not going to change how you feel about movies. It's not the best thing since sliced bread. But as far as one of the tightest horror narratives, suspense narratives, it's worth seeing, for sure.
Awesome.
So for me, that's my benchmark at 5. That and probably Mama and a few others.
Okay.
So I'd say 3.5.
Respect it, man.
How about you?
I will give it a 4. I give it just a half a point, a little bit higher.
Sure.
Only because it gives me something I haven't really seen much in recent horror films. As far as just the excitement of watching a horror movie.
Fair.
Was the movie terrifying? No, But I mean, I'm an adult now, so should I be terrified of movies? Not really. But it was exciting to see. It was an aspect of, okay, what's going to happen to this kid? Is he going to survive? Or, oh my God, I can't believe they just did that. So it gave me more shock value than I got from any Annabelle movie or even The Conjuring, which is a very popular franchise right now.
I love The Conjuring. I really do. Annabelle Creation
Mhm.
fell flat for me.
Right.
It
Me
really
too.
did. But I agree